Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome. I'm Shazia joining you on the Nutrition Show on Unity FM 93.5 FM. I'm really excited to have you all join me today for a discussion on topics related to nutrition, which I hope may support you and your loved ones with better health and well-being. As always, and before I get into the topic of the day, I want to remind listeners that all information shared on the show today is general in nature. For anyone with medical issues or concerns, please be sure to seek medical advice from your own general practitioner. So today's topic is on tips to take on board over the holiday season. So we're all into the summer holidays now, and can't believe we're already almost a week through. And I thought about what kind of tips would I give my clients who are perhaps taking time away, whether that be for the whole of the 6 weeks, a part of it, whether they're going away, a part of that time, or whether they're staying at home with their kids. What kinds of tips could they use to ensure that nutrition doesn't get put on the back seat completely? It's understandable that it's a time to kind of chill out, relax a little bit, catch up on things, meet those friends you haven't seen in a long time, spend that extra quality time with your kids, perhaps visit family abroad, friends abroad. All these kinds of things become priority, and understandably, therefore, what we eat, what we drink may not be the most important things on our agenda. So I thought, what are the easy ways that we can kind of look into ways and means that we can still make healthy choices over the summer whilst we enjoy the quality time with our friends and family. So first of all, this is a key one that I would advise my clients to do, is look at your routine. Now, during the main part of the year when we're working off our busy jobs, we're kind of getting through our busy lives, we've got a routine. Human beings are routine beings, and routine works really well. Personally, I found that my life has been in difficult times when I've not had a routine. So you can see the difference in yourself, whether that be from a productivity aspect, or whether that be from a health aspect, or any other kind of dimension for that matter, when routine goes out the window. And routine is key to making sure you get things done. So it kind of helps you with everything that you need to be able to do. Really, it helps with that planning that we need to kind of ensure that we do, such that we achieve our goals on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and on a longer term basis as well. So, if you've gone to bed late, if you've been working up late because, you've got a deadline to meet, whether you've been poorly and your routine's been thrown for that reason, whether you've got a child that's poorly that you've been up with, those nights and those days, you can certainly feel they're different to the other days where you've had a good night's sleep, you're ready to go in the morning, you know exactly what you're doing, you're getting up at the same time in the morning, you're going to bed at the same time at night, as a very basic routine. You know that those days are going to be completely different to the other days that I've just mentioned. You wake up feeling unfulfilled, you're groggy, you're moody, you don't want to do anything, you don't want to talk to anyone. So, you don't want to be spending a summer like this because, you've kind of thought, okay, I'm going to go to bed late, I'm going to be watching, 10 hours of Netflix, or, binging on, pizzas and pop, etc. every night for the first week until you feel you can't take anymore. You want to get yourself into that routine that you were in originally, or maintain it as close as possible, so that your body is in that clock. It's got its clocks working in sync, and it's going to allow you then to make the most of each day, even though your activities will obviously vary if you're going away, if you're on holiday, etc., etc. So, to have the most structured day, the most productive day, to give yourself the best, even in the holiday season, try and maintain a routine. This is kind of key. I've seen it for myself, I've seen it for others. I think if you can do that, you are on a winner, because if you think about the things that we upset when we're out of routine, sleep, as I mentioned, is one of them. We want to be getting an undisturbed sleep for as long as possible. So 8 hours is the norm that we hear. You should be getting as much undisturbed sleep as much as possible, whenever possible, to allow your body to heal itself, to recover, to recoup, to give yourself the energy and the clarity for the next day. Not getting enough sleep has a knock-on effect on your blood sugar balance, on weight issues. Lots of things can come from just that sleep being disturbed, which can be as a result of the routine being disturbed. So that's just one aspect of routine. You want to be energized, ready to go for the day. So, try and get that routine in as much as you can whilst you plan your activities outside of those hours. There's no reason why we can't get up at the same time every day. Having the odd line isn't a problem, but generally I find personally, and I advise this to my clients, make sure your routine is maintained as far as possible. On the back of this, don't give up your workout routine. So exercise, again, is something that we may do really well throughout the year. And then when it comes to holiday season, we kind of might get a little bit laxed. So whether you're a high-performing athlete, a gym junkie, a newbie getting into a regular work routine before the holiday, suddenly came upon you, you want to try and maintain some form of that going forward, whether that's kind of toned down a little bit, whether you alter it in terms of timing, bearing in mind that you don't want to be doing too much high intensity activity before you go to bed, because you want to be in a relaxed state to be able to sleep properly. You want to be trying to engage your body in that way, because we know that physical activity is a must for good health. And that will be different for each individual person. You want to kind of keep that going in some shape and form whilst you're on holiday. You don't want to be kind of losing sight of looking, your best, achieving your best and giving your body the best kind of foundation, if you like, to allow you to enjoy the finer things in life. Of course, if you're traveling or taking up new activities that limit your commitment, then, rejig that routine, as I said, to try and get in as much as you can, whether you shorten it, you reduce the intensity, you change the timing, you share with your partner or the people you're with, the responsibilities of the day. So whether you're looking after children, you can take turns to go to the gym if you're, at a resort that has a gym, or whether you're at home to do the same. Share the responsibility, look out for one another whilst you're maintaining your physical activity. It's always best, of course, to plan ahead. If you're going away during the summer, as you plan the weeks for your work, plan ahead for your summer holidays as well. There's nothing better than planning. And, it's tedious, it's monotonous, it can be time consuming, and it's not the most fun activity to do. However, it pays dividends if you can do this, because you'll notice the benefits afterwards, and you'll have a more fulfilling holiday, having done the things you wanted to do, rather than having to then kind of cut back on things and skip things because you didn't plan that period of time that you were off, whether that was a few days, a week, 6 weeks, whatever it was. So what else? Holidays can be stressful in their own right, and it should be a time to de-stress and relax. So, as you may have done in the year, because, we talk about stress and its impact on our health, you want to try and incorporate these daily things that you were doing, or you've started to look into, or you perhaps are going to find out about today, into your day in, day out routine. What am I talking about? So, it's that disconnection from the buzz of life, that kind of time away, that me time, realigning yourself with your goals and your purpose. And, we're all guilty of neglecting these. I'm going to definitely say I'm one of them. And it's good to kind of step away, reflect, think about where you're heading, how you're getting there, what you're doing to actually get closer to your goals, even when all the setbacks just kind of keep coming. You have to have something in place that helps you to pick yourself up again. And if you have this kind of time that you allocate to yourself, again, work with the people you're with, whether that's your partner, whether it's a group of friends, whether it's a neighbor, whoever it is that you're actually, spending your time with, work a routine out for yourself so that you make this time, and you need to schedule it in. Like you'd schedule in a meeting, like you'd schedule in an appointment, and you'd attend it on time. you need to do this as part and parcel of looking after your health from a holistic perspective. You know, you need that time because it's healing, it's regenerative, it helps you to keep going, it stops that burnout that we all experience inevitably, whether we're busy, whether we're stressed, whatever it is when life is taking its toll on us. We need to be able to recharge our batteries. And, you know, that spiritual healing is just as important as the nutritional healing, that mental awareness, that mental kind of stabilization. We all need this from time to time, and we need to make it a regular thing. So what can you do? For me, I find prayer is a big one. I find that when I am not coping well with things that are going on, and you know, a stress is overwhelming me, prayer is always my first kind of place to go before I kind of, you know, want to rant and rave to someone close to me who wants to listen. So have that prayer, have that connection with a higher being. You know, God plays a huge part in everyone's life in some shape or form. And even if, you know, you're someone who doesn't have that kind of belief system, I'm sure you're going to have something or some conviction where you know that there's a higher level of support for you. And I think that you should always find that and connect to that in your own way, because no one can do that for you. There's so much out there that can help guide you towards that and show you how you can, you know, use that to benefit your health. But that is a huge one, I think, for me personally, and I do suggest that to other people as well. Find where your place is in the prayer arena and make it a daily habit. I mean, with Muslims, we pray 5 times a day. It's that connection 5 times a day from the overwhelm. You know, and you can let go, you can, you know, sort of try and reconfigure your life sometimes just by those 5 prayers a day. And even outside of those prayers, we have so many avenues for support, seeking, you know, that help that we need to get through our day-to-day life and function the best that we can, you know, from all aspects of our life. Remember, we're not one-dimensional. We're human beings with a mental, you know, conviction. We've got a spiritual conviction. We've got that nutritional need and well-being. These are all part and parcel of us as individuals. We can't just pick the one and neglect the others. You know, think about reflecting. Use a journal. You know, write your thoughts down. I find sometimes that when I'm overwhelmed, that helps me. And I've got lists all over the house. I've got a list for different things, and that helps me to organize myself, sometimes better than me just kind of having a mental list and then finding that I'm just exhausted and I can't think things through. Grounding is amazing. So if you've got some, you know, some grass in your garden, you know, take your socks off, get on the grass and ground yourself. It's amazing how that can make you feel so much more energized. We've moved house and we didn't have grass in the old house, but we have in the new house, and I'm yet to do that. But that was one of the reasons why, you know, I wanted to do everything I could to maintain that beautiful grass that we have now. So get out in the garden, take your socks off and ground yourself. So, you know, let that kind of disturbing charge leave your body. Think about booking a spa, whether it's just for yourself, whether it's a girl's day out, a guy's day out. Guys, you're just as guilty. Whether it's with your spouse, you know, make it special and focus on that downtime. Massage is great. Many other ways, you know, incorporate those, you know, those hobbies that perhaps you haven't really kind of made the most of throughout the year. Maybe take those to the next level and you know, ensure that there's something of those that you take part of at some point in your holiday. You know, you don't want to kind of start a hobby and then kind of let it dwindle into nothing, because, you know, we are kind of complex beings that need stimulation from different things in life, and, you know, and focusing on different things like this just help us to grow more. And, you know, we appreciate things more that way as well. And appreciation is a big part of being a human being, of being a Muslim, I know from my own faith. And, you know, having that connection, that appreciation, that mindfulness, which I'm going to talk about shortly. These are all key, part and parcel of, you know, being the best that you can. You know, you need to be able to do this so that when you do go back to work, whether it's a week later, a weekend later, a month later, 6 weeks later, you're going to be the best form, ready to take on those challenges, those new tasks, those new, targets that you're going to be given perhaps on the first day. You want to be ready to take them on. And you want to hit the ground running. So before I continue, I would like to remind listeners that information that I'm sharing on this show is for general purposes only. If you have any medical issues or concerns, please be sure to seek medical advice from your own general practitioner. I am just here to educate and empower. That's why I do this. That's where my passion is coming from. I want people to be able to say, yes, I can look after myself in the best way possible, and then I can seek the support that I need in addition to that from my general practitioner, from my other healthcare providers. If the work's got to begin with you, as learning begins in the home, that learning for you, that journey for you on a nutritional level, on a holistic health level, it's got to start with you. You've got to take ownership of your own health. You can't say that, X, Y, and Z are responsible for my health, and I'm just going to sit there until they make the decision, they tell me what to do, because life isn't that simple. And you have to remember, most of the services out there now are overwhelmed. The waiting lists are huge. People are getting sicker because they're waiting to be seen, but the services are just running at full capacity and not able to allow these people to be seen quick enough. We want to leave the healthcare systems for the sickest of people who need to be seen. For those of us who can manage ourselves to the best of our ability and prevent illness, that is the way to be. Prevention is always better than cure. We know that. If you go back to any person who's had illness, they will tell you that they would have appreciated their health. And even in our faith, we know that we take advantage of 5 before 5, and that includes taking advantage of our good health before we get sick. So these are all blessings. We need to be able to reflect on them. So all of these things combined, that routine, that exercise, planning, having that downtime, reflecting, taking accountability for oneself. So if you've done something that didn't work so well, looking at it and avoiding that same mistake for the future. These are all really, really good things. So this is what I love actually about nutrition and holistic health, that it's very much a package. It's about looking at behavioral change, your mindset, because until those things change, no matter how good the information is that you've got under your belt, no matter how well equipped your kitchen is, no matter how skilled you are in making nutritious foods, no matter how much knowledge you've gained because you've studied, it's not going to all come together in the best and most productive way until your mindset is then in the right place to enable all these changes to actually come together and have the best effect. So really you've got to kind of you've got to bring all of these things together in the same place before you can actually make them work to the best for you. So if you're taking time away from work to spend with the kids at home, I would say get comfortable in your kitchen. Now, some of you are going to be pros. You're going to be making amazing foods in the kitchen already. So this is going to be like you're going to be thinking, oh, this is not for me. But for those of you who maybe you were like me, I was always very frightened of the kitchen. Actually, I never went into the kitchen when I used to look at my family cooking, because my aunties and my mum would cook for hours on end, and I thought, and stand next to it, the heat for ages. I couldn't do that. I thought, I can't cook like that. It just stressed me out. So the thought of cooking for hours on end didn't work so well for me. So I kind of, perhaps for the majority of my adult life, stayed out of the kitchen. That's not to say I didn't do my bit. I just didn't find that was my calming space, which is actually what it should be. The kitchen should not be a place of stress. It's a place of experiment. It's a place of enjoyment, of pleasure. It's a place where you should be able to rediscover yourself. So if you've never cooked before, if you've never imagined yourself to be able to put a really nice meal together, then this is the time while you're away from work perhaps got more time with your kids, perhaps more time with your spouse. Try and get into the kitchen as an activity. Make it a fun opportunity to learn together. So, if you've had some recipes tucked away somewhere where that you would wanted to try, but that you'd seen or a friend had mentioned, or that a relative perhaps makes, and you think, wow, how do they make that? Why not now take the opportunity to get into the kitchen, source those ingredients and try and make those foods. And remember, your children are going to be learning from you, whether that's a good habit or a bad habit. Everything you do is learning for them. So you want to now start to set a good example for them by doing things yourself first and foremost. And what better way to do it than to do it, lead by example. So if you want to create a nice salad that you perhaps had at a restaurant some weeks ago with your kids, why don't you try that yourself? And show the kids what the ingredients are, how to prepare them. And, we all have access to the internet. How many of us are on, the internet, playing games or watching videos or movies and things? Why can't we allocate some of this time to investing in our health and well-being and that of our families and the ones that we can influence? Try and seek out recipes. I found so many easy recipes whenever I'm stuck. And, the ingredients are so simple and easy to get hold of. They're practically available at every supermarket now. Everyday ingredients that we can use to make salads. Start where you're at. Get involved. Use the kitchen as a relationship building place. Get closer to your kids, your spouse, if you've had that space for a long time. Use that as a healing mechanism as well. Just from the point of being in the kitchen as well as the foods that you're preparing. So try and have a go. If it doesn't work out right, it doesn't matter. Food is not a fixed science. It's an experiment. You need to find what works for you. Obviously, there are foods that are more conducive to good health, and there are foods that are not so good for productive benefits, if you like, our productivity, our health in and of itself. So you have to find what works for you, and it is a balance. It's a middle ground, because if you become too extreme, and I'm guilty of that, because when I finished my nutrition studies, I wanted to implement everything all in one go for everyone in my household, and it didn't really work out so well. So don't go in like a bull in a china shop. When you find something good, make it gradual, make it a kind change. And the best way I found to do this was to prepare the food that I wanted my family to eat and just set it on the dinner table of an evening, make it for lunch, during the day, prepare it for breakfast in the morning, and just have it on the table. Just don't engage in opportunities where there's going to be conflict. We don't need conflict. There's plenty of that as it is. So you want to make food a relationship strengthener. And I know that sounds really crazy, but food does actually have that effect. So, and I've seen it in my own family. So, this is what I would encourage. So if you're setting an example for your kids, then that's how this is going to work. It's going to be something that's going to, be a small thing to begin with, but it's going to pay dividends in the long term. Get in the kitchen, enjoy, get your hands dirty, dust off that apron and that recipe book that you've had for ages. Give it a go. And if you don't have a recipe book, that's no problem. Get onto YouTube, get online. It couldn't be, easier. If you're struggling, type in simple, easy, healthy. Use these as keywords in your search engine, and you're bound to find recipes that you like. Go by ingredient if you want to. If you want to avoid an ingredient, then that's the way to go. But these are really good ways to engage your family, really make that quality time matter. And I think, even if you spent a weekend doing this, if you're away for most of it, even doing this whilst you're away, you're not going to be out and about all day long, every day. So use these opportunities to kind of build that and make that part and parcel of your life. When you're preparing these meals, and as I've talked about in previous shows, think about colour, think about textures, think about adding in things that you wouldn't normally try. So begin with what you're familiar with, and then venture out into areas that excite you, that give you a variety, that give you chances to try something new that you may also then add to your favorite list. Remember, the more colour you add, the more antioxidants you're getting, the more phytonutrients you're getting, the more vitamins and minerals your body is being exposed to. You want to try and get as much colour in. So think about colours of the rainbow, as we've talked about before. You can download these charts online to help you kind of work out where the colours could be coming from. Get your family on board, make it a fun activity, have some prizes to allocate at the end, have a review date, make it something that the kids are going to enjoy and want to be part and parcel of. When I ran the kids nutrition workshop last summer, locally in Aston, I found the kids were loving it. They were loving the colours, they were loving the kind of the experimentation side of things. And these were kids between the age of 8 and 13. They were really involved. I was actually so surprised how involved they actually were. So I don't have any children of my own, so I can't relate to it from a personal perspective. But from what I saw in the class, they actually loved being involved. So get your kids involved, and you'll be surprised how much they'll want to actually be involved with these kinds of activities. So, these inquisitive minds, they're growing minds. You want to give them the best start in life. If you get stuck with your 5 a day, which is actually now 10 a day, even according to the NHS, it is higher when we work with our clients from a naturopathic nutritional perspective. But even if you can get to that 5 a day, you've got to, starting wherever you're at. If you get stuck, think of the 5 S's as I tell them. So those are your stir fries, soups, stews, salads and smoothies. So many examples out there. Put in healthy, put in nutritious, type in the word, the type of food you want to make, and there you go. You're bound to find something that you're gonna like eventually, even if you start out thinking, this is not for me. Give yourself that opportunity. Whilst you're in the kitchen, make your own holiday treats to avoid food additives, preservatives, allergens that you've got, intolerant ingredients, etc. You want to try and look for ways and means to make your own healthy desserts, treats, snacks, whatever it may be, and whilst omitting the ingredients that you don't really need. You can control the amount of sugar and the types of sugar you use in there. If you are using one, you can control the sweeten, the additives, the artificial artificial and man-made flavors in there. All these things that you don't really need to go into your food, you can actually control them. So think about homemade protein balls. We used to do that quite a lot. So this is with a date base, and you can add nuts and seeds. You can add chocolate to it. You can add a flavor of your choice, like vanilla or mint. There's so many things that you can do. Flavor them in the way you want. Create textures that you like. Think about banana and oatmeal cookies. You can do so many homemade ice creams now. Super simple, 2-3 ingredient based. You can also do fruit ice lollies, which I mentioned in a previous show. So there's so many things that you can do. Kids will love it, enjoy it, get them involved, get experimenting. Another thing that my clients kind of really worry about, and I kind of try to stress this as much as I can, and I'll do this again now, is that you should enjoy the moment, but get yourself back onto your nutrition journey, so to speak. Get back onto track as soon as you can. So if you want that takeaway, go and enjoy it. Don't stress over what you're eating. Enjoy it, because first of all, you're not going to enjoy the meal. That's the first downside. And the second thing is that the worry is going to create more anxiety. It's going to create stress in the body, and you're kind of defeating the objective, in those two ways at least. So enjoy the meal, enjoy the company, enjoy that family time, that quality time together, whatever it is, whoever it is that you're with. And then try and get back on track, but just don't make it a routine. Don't make it too often such that your goals start to become skewed. You know, if you know that you like a particular treat that a family member makes, enjoy it. You know, be part of that kind of that moment. Enjoy it and share that moment, because those moments are really precious, especially with friends and family, that quality time that you may not get again. But don't get into that negative thinking. Don't get into that kind of destructive guilt trip that you could get yourself into. I've done it before. It doesn't achieve anything. It's just making sure that you're disciplined enough to go back. And we will all do this. We'll all fall back. And we pick ourselves up as we get stronger and as we learn more and as we see the benefits that making good nutritional changes in our life has on us on a longer term basis. So there's a couple of things there to think about already whilst you're enjoying your summer holidays. Hopefully the weather will pick up and we're going to see a little less of this lovely rainfall. Great for the garden, but maybe not so great if you're trying to get out for a picnic. Please stay tuned, as I'll be diving into more after this short break. You're listening to me, Shazia, on Unity FM on the Nutrition Show 93.5 FM. Back with you shortly. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Nutrition Show. You're joining me, Shazia, on Unity FM 93.5 FM. Before the break, I was talking about some tips that you can consider whilst you're on holiday during the summer holidays, just to make sure that your nutrition doesn't kind of fall by the wayside. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what you can do to continue to look after yourself from a nutritional perspective, from a holistic perspective, as we go into the second half of the show shortly. But just as a reminder that this discussion is for information purposes only and does not in any way constitute medical advice. For any health issues or concerns that you do have, please do consult your own medical provider. Now, preparation is key, and I'm sure you've got a time in life where you've realised you haven't prepared for something and things have gone horribly wrong. Now, this is the same with nutrition. If you're not prepared, you're going to be tempted to kind of eat foods and get involved in behaviours that are perhaps not the best for your health. Now, are you planning on a picnic? Maybe a day trip? You know, I don't know, are you taking your family to the beach? Going abroad? Whatever it may be. You need to be prepared. What are you going to eat for that particular day, that particular afternoon, that particular week, those weeks you're away? What kind of foods do you have access to? Are you just going to take a guess and just hope for the best? Have you got fussy eaters on board that you need to cater for? Have you got people on board who have got intolerances or allergies? You really have to prepare. And as boring as it sounds and as tedious as it is, again, it's something that's going to pay dividends when you get it right. Look for and take with you healthy snacks. That's a definite that I found that works with me and my family. Filtered water. So when I say filtering, I'm not talking about bottled water. I'm not talking about tap water. I'm not talking about any other fancy waters out there. Filter your water. And glass is the ideal way to carry your water, or stainless steel. And you do get covers now for glass bottles that, prevent breakages. So whatever works for you. If you've got children and you find plastic is the best way, then, by all means, make that part of what you need to do. But I'm just giving you the tips that we recommend, or I would recommend to my clients, because I know that that's the best way that they're going to improve their health outcomes. Think about infused waters. Think about drinks that you can make at home and take out with you. So you're avoiding the sugary, carbohydrate-filled drinks and foods that are available readily from, outlets whilst you're on holiday. Remember, these people are going to be out more. People who are selling these kinds of foods and drinks, which in and of themselves, once in a while, are not a problem. But on the longer term basis, they can be problematic. So, just be mindful and be prepared. We take a lot of nuts with us when we go out, some dark chocolate. I mean, if the weather's hot, that can be a problem, but if it's not too bad, dark chocolate's great as a snack. And when I talk about dark chocolate, I'm talking about the one that's unsweetened, but you work your way up to a pure dark chocolate. I've had these conversations with many people. Some of them might be listening to the show right now and thinking, yeah, we've had that conversation. Work your way up to the highest level of dark chocolate that you can, and make it a treat for yourself, so you don't eat the whole bar. I've been guilty of it because I love it now, but obviously I don't recommend that to anyone. You want to kind of, even with good foods, think about moderation. Think about berries. Take berries along with you. Hummus dips, other dips in that nature. Oatmeal cookies are great. Salads, whether that's a fruit salad or a vegetable salad. If you add a dressing to that, it always makes it more palatable. Fresh fruit. All these are easy ways and means that you can take food with you and enjoy a healthier version of a snack or a meal whilst you're out. Especially if you've got children, you want to be helping them understand that healthy eating is the best way. However, as I've mentioned before, if they want a treat while they're out there because all the other kids are having a treat, in moderation as a one-off, it's not a problem. Be mindful of overloading on macronutrients. So macronutrients are the proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Now, in nutrition, I talk about having a balanced plate. Now, there's a general way that I do this with my clients, and it helps for them to eat the right amounts of the macronutrients that we can actually consume from our food sources, as well as preventing them from eating foods that are not the best for them, as well as having a sort of a gauge on portion size as well. So all these things that you can work towards later on, once you start to understand what macronutrients are, where you find them, which ones are the best ones to use, which ones are perhaps better left out, and how you can start to incorporate them to work for your health. So, for example, if you've got a plate that's piled with pasta, and this is the white pasta I'm talking about, you're overloading on carbohydrates. If you've got, a triple or quadruple burger, beef burger or whatever it might be, you might be overloading on the protein. So, these are things that you need to start to kind of get a handle on as you start to learn more about your nutrition. Obviously, these are more problematic when they're done on a regular basis. As a one-off, it may not be such a problem, but getting a handle on understanding what macronutrients are will help you to make better choices when you're out and about for your family. And if you're eating out at a restaurant, for example, you're going to have a plate in front of you, so you can roughly arrange the foods in your plate to get the right amounts of macros that you need for yourself and for your family. So it does actually work when you're outside of the home. Once you get to that stage of understanding the foods and then apportioning your plate appropriately to give you the best that you can get in terms of putting in the appropriate amounts of nutrients into your body. These things are easy to overlook in the holiday because you're out and about. You might be eating on the go. You might be eating later at night, so you're not really thinking about it. You might be eating when you're tired. You might be eating when you're exhausted for another reason. You might be eating because you're poorly, whatever it might be. But as you start to learn and familiarize yourself with what the macronutrients are, where are my proteins? Where am I getting them from? Where are the carbohydrates? Where am I getting them from? Where are the fats? Where am I getting them from? And I could do a separate talk on this alone because it's such a huge area. You'll start to understand that, when you get the balance right, you feel better in yourself and you'll be able to enjoy the activities that you want to do more fully and more, they'll be more enjoyable for you and your family. The other thing that is very commonly done inside of the holidays and outside of the holidays is the blood sugar balancing issue. So I've talked about this before. So what we want to try and do is make sure that we're not spiking our blood sugars and therefore spiking our insulin, which is our hormone that manages or controls our blood sugar and brings it back to the normal level in our blood. Now, this is a problem for lots of medical conditions as well, so diabetes, as we know, but there are other conditions which are also aggravated as a result of not having that appropriate blood sugar balance. So how can we actually help our bodies, sort of deal with these spikes or prevent these spikes by sort of introducing foods into our body in the most appropriate way? Well, I tell my clients, every time you eat, regardless of how many times you're eating, because that's a separate issue in and of itself, add protein a good quality protein and or a healthy fat to your carbohydrate. So if you're having, for example, a banana, have some nut butter with it. So you've got your carbohydrate and you've got your protein. If you're having, for example, some carrot sticks, have some hummus with them. If you're having, say, a piece of chocolate, a dark chocolate square or two, have some nuts with them. Try and encourage yourself to consume a fat source or a protein source or both with your carbohydrate source. So once you've recognized which foods are which, you'll start to realize what you need to add to what. And it's again, it's not a science. It's something that you'll learn as you go along and as you familiarize yourself with the different types of foods, and you'll start to see your body responding to those kind of changes that you're making. And what this does is adding the fat and or the protein will slow down the sugar release from that carbohydrate that you've consumed. And that's what we're trying to do. We want to make sure that your body's not spiking blood sugar levels, but achieving this kind of more steadier state, so that your insulin is also at a steadier state. So you want to kind of make sure that you're more balanced throughout the day, and this will help you feel fuller for longer. It'll help you feel less groggy. It'll help you feel less kind of prone to reaching out for and craving sugary things and other foods that are not so good for you, because you've already got your body into a balance. So when you're eating a good breakfast, for example, with, like, say, for example, eggs, wholemeal toast, you've got some nuts in there, you perhaps had a berry smoothie to go along with it, you've had a nice wholesome breakfast, you'll find that you're not so hungry later on in the day. You might want to eat way later in the day than you would have done if you, say, for example, just had a popped rice cereal in the morning, for example, or you just had a coffee with a toast. You're going to find that you're going to be craving food. You're going to be hungry, as they say, hungry, very quickly, because you're not giving your body that stability it needs to enable to carry you over to the next meal. Needless to say, and I've said it before many, many times, you want to make sure that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you need to stay hydrated. Now, water levels for each of us are going to vary. We're individuals, and there is this consensus about having 8 glasses of water a day. This does vary depending on medical conditions, background, health concerns, time of day, physical activity, special groups. So, whether you're elderly, whether you're a child, whether you're a pregnant mum, nursing mum, whatever it may be, this will vary from person to person. But what I do know from my clinics personally is that most people are underhydrated, or dehydrated is the correct word. And this is a problem because we need water. We need to be able to detoxify ourselves. We need to be able to cleanse our bodies. And water has so many important functions in the body. Our blood is made up of water. We need to be able to ensure that we're providing our body with clean, filtered water on a regular basis, enough to meet our needs, and keep, our bodies detoxified from that perspective as much as possible. And I've talked about in previous shows how you can, utilize filtered water that you're doing at home. So either you invest in a water filter, ideally a home water filter, or a unit that you can stand in the kitchen, like the Berkey, for example. So these are all filters that you can utilize. If you go online and do some research, you'll find some really good options that you can have for your home. Obviously, it depends on your home type and whether they can be fitted as well. So these are all issues you'll need to look into for yourself. Make infused waters, very easy to do. Ice lollies. Think about fruits and veg that are high water content. The melons are an example, berries, citrus, lettuce. These are all ways that you can incorporate water into your diet. Make it exciting so that you're able to get it in. Set yourself up a target for your day, whether you need a reminder to do that, whether you've got a bottle in front of you that you mark and you drink at certain intervals. Do whatever you need to do to get that water into your body. Help each other. Be there to, be accountable for one another. And it does actually work. I'm still struggling. I'm getting there. It does help. Your skin feels different. You feel better. You've got more clarity. Water is essential to life. It really is. And you need to kind of make sure that whilst you're away, enjoying your holidays, locally, abroad, wherever it may be, water, hydration is still really, really important. So there's quite a bit there to take in. And I'm sure you're thinking, I haven't got time to think about these things. I'm on holiday. I need to get away from this. I hear you. What I'm going to say is that to give yourself a better holiday than you would have perhaps had, these things will actually enhance your holiday. It's going to be a small amount of work for a huge return. You're investing in yourself. You're investing in your family. Even if you can do a couple of these things, plan the rest in for the next trip. You're doing so much more for yourself than you perhaps would have thought you could. And see what works for you. Help each other out. You can share these tips with others as well. Obviously, as I've said before, it doesn't constitute medical advice. It's not something that you can make each individual improve their health with. We're all different. We all need individualized support. That's why it's important to speak to and work with a qualified medical practitioner first and foremost, and then a holistic practitioner. These are things that are there for you to kind of get you to that higher level. But on the basics, everyone can do little things to make themselves move forward, and these are certainly some of them. Try and do what you can. Make it fun. If you can make something fun, you're more likely to do it. If it's going to be something that's boring and monotonous, you're not going to continue it for more than a couple of weeks or a year or whatever it may be. You run out of that oomph, and you don't want to do that. So build these in slowly, gradually. Help each other. Assign people to different tasks. That's really good as well. Delegate if you're in a family setting. Do what you can on your part and get others involved as well. I'd love to hear what works for you. Feel share to let us know what worked for you, what didn't work so well, maybe something that you tried yourself that worked really well. We're here to share and learn from one another. We're always learning. I think that's something that we need to accept. I'm always learning as an individual. It doesn't stop. I don't think we stop evolving as individuals. I think it's something that's really important. Don't punish yourself. Move forward. If you take a couple of steps back, it's okay. As long as you're overall having a net forward movement, that's what matters. So do what you can. Use this as a learning opportunity for now and for next time. Work with your healthcare professionals. They're there to support you. Always, any concerns you have, speak to your medical provider. They're there to support and guide you. It's not about sort of always kind of muddling through things on your own. We're all here to help. These sessions are here for you to kind of empower and educate, as I've mentioned before. I think those are my kind of key aims. That's the reason why I come to record these shows. And I just hope that somebody will benefit from them. That's the idea. My hope is that what you've heard today has been insightful, gets you looking into what could work for you while seeking support from your medical professionals. Anything that you want to feedback is always greatly appreciated. I'm grateful for another opportunity to connect with you. This is Shazia on the Nutrition Show on Unity FM 93.5 FM. I look forward to joining you again soon. Take care, and until next time, wassalamu alaikum.